Thank you. Thanks for providing me the opportunity to share my ideas related to rule-based machine translation, through which I will have to explore how actually the rule-based machine translations for idiomatic expressions, just like in the previous questions, Jim Jones shared the idea that how can we culturally cope, so it may be a bit relevant to it.
Would you like to go to the next slide?
This research addresses basically the challenges and potential solutions for the translating idiomatic expressions using rule-based machine translations, which usually call it RBMT. The translation. So the process of conveying meaning from one language to another. The study compares the effectiveness of human translators and then RBMT system in capturing idiomatic meanings and cultural context. A comprehensive methodology involving data translation, tasks, data feeding, questionnaires, interviews, and then focus groups on which may be shared with certain data collections. So for this particular purpose, we actually aid certain mixed method approach, which captured the diverse perspectives of insight, combining qualitative and quantitative data to explore the issues and solutions of translating idioms with rule-based machine translation. The strategy involves creating an extensive database for idiomatic expressions and culturally relevant constraints to enhance rule-based machine translation system, and especially the performance of the system. This is also emphasizes the need for the collaborations in improving machine translations and intercultural communication. The findings highlight that while human translators are more accurate in preserving culture specifics, neither human nor machine translations can fully convey idiomatic meanings. Language, as we already know, that is a dynamic entity, involves continuously shaped by cultural, social, historical context. And similarly, the scientific study of a language encompasses various aspects such as syntax, semantics, and pragmatics, which collectively contribute to our understandings of how language functions and facilitates our communication process. According to Hall, linguistics involves analyzing language structures to comprehend its working and applications in communication, or which may be further elaborated in a sense that interdisciplinary nature of computational linguistics, which merges computer science and linguistics to develop methods for processing and analyzing human language with special reference to translation. This field actually includes natural language process as well as with the help of automatic translation, speech recognitions, and text analysis. Translation is, we know that the process of conveying meaning from one language to another can be broadly categorized into two. The one is called a literal translation and the other is called sense-to-sense translation. Literal translation is an approach that strives to replicate the original text wording, grammar, idioms, often resulting in awkward, unnatural rendering in its target language. In contrast, sense-to-sense translation prioritized conveying the original text, overall meaning, tune, and intent rather than adhering strictly of its literal words and structure. The primary challenges is using the rule-based machine translation systems for translating idiomatic expressions lies in the idioms, context-bound nature. Idioms, proverbs, they're deeply embedded in cultural setting from state to the rule-based machine translation. These expressions, which may be considered aid intended meanings, resulting in mistranslations, or we may be considered as a loss of meaning. This problem affects various aspects of life, including intercultural communications, diplomatic effort, international trade, and therefore, the issue has been highlighted that how to address this issue by developing a new approach for translating idiomatic expressions, enhancing rule-based machine translation system, ability to accurately interpret and translate these phrases. To know about the further objectives which may be considered is to design and implement a set of rules to identify and translate idiomatic expressions in machine translation systems, and then to know about the impact of cultural and linguistic nuances and accuracy of idiomatic expression translation in machine translation system. Rule-based machine translations have a hard time to accurately translate idioms, expressions, phrases, sentences that have a meaning different from literal meaning, individual to individual one. And same is the case is now, because all these are dealt to be an individual capacity, so it's known as idiomatic expressions, which may be culturally different. For instance, the words kick the bucket, when are spoken, do not have a direct meaning of an idiom, which means to die. But these statements are often missing in usually meaning with the help of a rule-based machine translation techniques. The problem statement, that is the problem statement in the rule-based translation system for idiomatic expression is to focus on the fact that idiomatic expressions, including such language phenomena and idioms and proverbs, still pose a challenging to translation. This actually helps translating accuracy and machine translated text, addressing the unique challenges posed by idiomatic expressions. Idioms have hidden meanings that are not easily understood for the words themselves, much like puzzles. And even these translation, which we understand, but it may be culturally violate, is everyone, those who are learning the language are not actually the native speaker as far as Pakistan is concerned, which may be considered as a simple vocabulary. But with these rule-based machine systems, the researchers can find certain ideal situations where the words are not properly translated. Still, it may be considered have a translation process, but it may be culturally violate.
Excuse me, Professor, you have
This
5
translation
minutes.
process.
You have
Let me
5 minutes.
complete the further. There are certain issues which may be considered as, or the other one, that's research methodology for the same process, that a mixed method approach that captures diverse perspectives of insight, combining qualitative and quantitative data to explore the issues and solution in translating idioms for rule-based machine translations. The system that concludes that a range of data sets and culturally sensitivity also assist in program creations, self-generated questions, questionnaires, interviews, dealt with a specific language, and again, having the expertise of the translators. But as far as the machine translation system, specific pools or data will be collected for this one, so that it may have a content analysis properly culturally based, and the cognitive translations theory is applied for the same analysis. Then we have certain techniques and approaches. Then later on, we have certain recommendations. The research study process is a new model for translating an idiomatic expression, especially in Pakistan, when using rule-based machine translation system with a focus on the importance of eventually processing culture context, detection, and analysis tools, involving building of a detailed database for idiomatic expressions along with the culture context tags, defining a set of rules, describes figurative references and culture contexts by developing certain decision procedures that could recognize the idiomatic expressions according to the rules stated above. All these rule-based machine translation systems, it's certainly a drastic improvement in software as well as in the computer to facilitate online processing of idiomatic expressions. But for this one, to create a database, we will have to consult the experts of the language, which is basically from one or from another language. Same is the case with the culture understanding, because needs for the culture references, it is as these idioms cannot be properly translated, then all these and would be able to reflect idiomatic meanings and versatility of the context. The communication between the people would be facilitated and improved, which in turn would lead to the critical international dialogue and exchange of such ideas. Stress to be need to have a linguist, computer scientist, culture analyst. All these are may be considered as the key components whenever we are going to involve in the rules-based machine translation systems. It is a comprehensive database. We will have to develop, and almost all of the culturally expert, language expert, and similarly the words having its own heritage can be considered as to suggest that how can an idioms be properly translated to in a specific context that can be included in a database. Then the cultural studies and linguistic specializations for the said purpose, the rule-based machine translation systems. Linguistic and cultural studies experts should collaborate for this purpose so as to ensure the system is dependent on the complexity of a language and the complexity of a culture. And to conclude that the two theories were effective in the papers that have evaluated and be able in the contextual analysis and cultural understandings of the paper, subject to the equally critical achieving of the findings.
Professor, you have 1 minute.
And similarly, interdisciplinarily, then the expenditure process, and then the evaluations and improvement process. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you very much for that presentation, Professor. We will now open it up to questions.
I have two questions.
Oh.
Dr. Sabzadeh, if I assume that the rule-based model would be different for any two languages that you want to translate the idioms from one to the other. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So there would be thousands of different rules.
So first of all, we will have to collect certain experts through which they will have to analyze the culture, they will have to analyze the language, the linguistic status, and